What's up guys, Tenoraki here with something new and a little different. The Gundam Versus series has been one of my all-time favorite games since Gundam Versus Gundam Next. Ever since I was introduced to the deeper intricacies of the system over a little place known as Game Center by the owner and friend Myung, I have been in love with this series, even going so far as to become a bigger Gundam fan. Now, with the announcement of a Western release, there will be a plethora of new fans introduced to this amazing game and franchise. I wish to help these new would-be pilots become the very best they can be and turn them into the next generation of ace pilots. This is the first of a series of videos that will introduce the basics of how to play Gundam Versus. Today we will begin teaching you the basic controls and basic layout, as well as the terminology that is commonly found in the Versus series. So, let's get started. First, let's begin with your controller and its layout. As you can see here, we have a basic layout found on most arcade sticks. For the stick itself, we commonly use a numpad notation to designate the particular direction you need to push to perform certain actions. You may have heard terminology thrown around like 2B, 46B, 8B, CC8B, and so on. This is what those numbers mean. They are your directions. Now, take a look at a common keyboard, take a look at the numpad. Just imagine your stick on the number 5. It is now in neutral. Now, if you were to move the stick down to the number 2, that would be as if you were pushing or tilting your stick downwards. In other words, you are moving down. 8 is forward, 4 and 6 are left and right respectively. This notation is very common in Gundam Versus and many other anime games. So, learning it will not only help you with Gundam, but many other fighting games too. Next, let's go over the button layout. On most sticks, you'll have 8 to 6 buttons. Most games commonly only use a maximum of 6. In Gundam, we'll be using 7. The reason for 8 is to align with many buttons found on a gamepad. But another nice feature I find is that it allows for an American straight layout or a Japanese curve layout. Use what's most comfortable for you. So, starting with the top row, going left to right, we have the buttons designated A, B, and C. When we reference A, it will always mean shoot, B is melee, and C is jump. On the second row, we have target change, striker, boost dive, or boost dash down. The second two buttons, striker and boost dive, are the newest additions to the Gundam Versus series, and there is no formal setup yet, so try this layout out, and if it doesn't work for you, change it up. In fact, none of this is set in stone, so if you have a better layout that is more comfortable for you, use it. This layout is just what is commonly found in arcades and universally understood. Finally, you will need a button to communicate with your partner. I usually have it here. Now let's delve a little deeper into what these buttons mean. Once again, A means shoot. This is generally your suit's main weapon, commonly a beam rifle or a machine gun. However, some suits are special and may have something completely different. So, experiment with each suit and try to find out what that is. B is your melee button. Mash on it and you'll always do some form of combo that will knock your opponent around like a rag doll. Push different directions such as 8B or 46B. Remember what those stand for? Didn't think there'd be a quiz so soon, now did you? See what different animations your suit has and what kind of properties those combos can confer. Once again, not every suit will have a melee, so some just have more guns. So experiment with your suit and learn what options it may have. C is your jump button. Push it twice in quick succession to boost dash. Talk to your C button, get to know it. Take it out on dates, because the C button will be your best friend, whether you like it or not. We will get into further detail about this in a later video, but boost management is the fundamental skill that is required to play Gundam well. So, understanding small details like how many boost dashes does your suit have per bar, how far can it travel, how fast is its travel time, and so on is imperative to become an ace pilot. Get down and dirty and find all the subtle movement intricacies your suit has to offer. One last thing to note about the C button and boost dashing is that it can cancel almost any animation in the game, whether that be shooting, melee, or giant laser beams. This is very important because it does speed up the game and also speeds up your gameplay. So be sure to get used to that and know what animations you can and can't cancel. One important movement option to learn is boost step, or simply sidestep. Hit any direction twice in quick succession to perform it. Generally, this is used for two big reasons. It turns off tracking and it can cancel melee attacks. Sometimes it can even cancel shooting attacks. Next up is the switch target button. Get used to pushing this a lot too. It's pretty straightforward, but take note that if you are in a long animation or in the middle of a melee combo, you can still switch targets and maintain your original orientation. Remember kids, information is power, and switching targets is how you get information. Use it well. Strikers is a new mechanic introduced in Gundam Versus. Though assists have been common in the series for a long time, having a universal button that gives every suit an assist is a powerful tool that can even out suits with big, huge flaws or double up on their advantages. Boost Dive or Boost Dash Down is the newest addition to GVS. It's exactly as it sounds. It's a boost dash downwards. It has all the same properties as if you were to double tap the C button, but you get to go directly down. This introduces some new mechanics and adds an interesting layer to the already intricate game that is the Versus system. Try combining it with other movement options to really confuse your opponents. Next up are button combinations. These are sometimes referred to as sub-weapons, special weapons, and special melee. However, since every suit has something completely different, I like to reference them simply as AB, AC, and BC. These combinations will give access to many different things from new weapons, special movement, and even new completely different forms. Once again, experiment with your suits and find out what hidden features it may have. Also, sometimes you'll notice that there is an ammo type that doesn't pertain to any of these combinations. If this is the case, usually it's 2B. You can hold down A or B to perform a charge shot. This can vary from an instant down, a natural Zunda, or even a Garo B. Try to find out what your suit has to offer. Finally, we have EX Burst or Awakening, which can be activated by pushing A, B, and C at the same time, when you have 50% or more meter. This meter builds based on damage dealt and taken by you. This mechanic can play a vital role in deciding a match depending on when you activate because it gives your suit a huge surge of power. Also, at 100% you can burst out of an enemy's combo and get yourself to safety or mount a counterattack. There are two versions designated Blaze Gear and Lightning Gear. We'll go into further detail about the meta and differences between the two gears. However, as a general note, Blaze is meant for aggressive type suits, and Lightning is for defensive type suits. One last thing I want to note is that while in Awakening, you can push ABC again to activate your EX Burst attack, or simply your super. These are powerful attacks that deal immense amounts of damage, but can only be used once per activation, so use it wisely. Finally, we have the communicate button. This is a very important button because it's a nice and concise way to talk with your partner. This button was also essential because originally you could not see your partner's health, and this was the only way to communicate your health. But now that you can completely see how much health your partner has, this button has been relegated to just a communicate button. Now, if you're familiar with Japanese culture, you will know that whenever greeting someone, you will say, "Yoroshiku onegaishimasu." This is just a polite way to greet your partner, no different than a good luck, have fun, and let's have a good match kind of deal. So remember to hit the communicate button at the start of a match. And at the very end of the match, don't forget to hit the button again, because at the end, in Japanese culture, you always want to say something along the lines of "arigatou gozaimasu," or in other words, "thank you for playing with me, GG," those kinds of things. Now, outside of these formalities, there are a few other situations in where you need to use the communicate button with your partner. The most important one is when you're getting comboed. If you are in a bad position or you are down, hit that communicate button. If you see your partner throwing this up, then be sure to check on him and see if he needs a cut. The next situation is when you down an opponent. Right when you down an opponent, or when you know for a fact that you will be downing him, hit that communicate button. This will tell your partner to either watch your back so that you don't get cut, or to go ham on the other opponent because the two of you will be able to double team him. Every time you push the communicate button, it will send a message to your partner to tell him how much damage you've accrued. This is broken down into 6 different messages. For now, just remember there are 2 white messages, 1 yellow, 1 orange, and 1 red in that order. The orange stating you will be destroyed very soon or in like the next 1 or 2 hits, and the one stating that you've, well, already been destroyed. Here are the kanji for the Japanese version of the game in order. This is just for reference, so once the Western release does come out, these should be translated in English, so don't worry too much about memorizing the little squiggly lines and everything. These are just the basics of the communicate button. As a rule of thumb, if you see it pop up, remember to check on your partner to see what's going on, and vice versa, if you need your partner to check on you to see what's going on. It's worth repeating, so remember, you can stay locked on and still look at the other opponent. So be sure to hit that switch target button often. You might have heard me say cut a lot. Basically, cutting is when you stop your opponent from damaging your partner, whether this be before, during, or after a combo. Doesn't really matter. Just remember, it's always best to cut for your partner even if it hurts them. Oh, did I mention there's friendly fire in this game? But don't worry too much. Your partner only takes 1/4 of the damage dealt. But that doesn't mean it won't put them in a sticky situation, so carefully choose your shots. The last thing I want to talk about is lock-on ranges. We will go into further detail in a future video, however, it is good to know the basics. There are 3 distinct lock-on ranges: red, green, and yellow. All you need to know for now is that almost everything in this game has what we call tracking. Your bullets, beams, lasers, even your melee attacks will home in on your opponents if they are within your red lock range. However, in green lock, they will travel to where your opponent last was right when you shot. Yellow is what we call the down state and means your opponent is completely invincible for its duration. So, pay attention when you start throwing out attacks. Also to note is each suit has a different red lock range, so be very careful when switching between suits. This concludes this video on the basics of Gundam Versus. We will go into some of the deeper fundamentals of this game soon, but for now, just experiment with all of the different suits until you find the right one for you. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to get all of my latest videos as soon as they come out. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, and till then, I will see you guys next time. Take care.